Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm just going to be making a really quick video. We're going to be going over my official prediction for this upcoming 2024 election. Now, we are going to pretend that Kamala Harris is the Democrat nominee. I'm pretty sure she is going to be it. It looks like all the delegates are starting to go towards her, even though there wasn't a primary, which is a little strange. But again, she is probably going to be the new Democratic nominee for the upcoming Democratic convention. And as we know, Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee, especially after everything that's happened to Donald Trump, with the debate, with his assassination attempt, and with the RNC Republican convention. I definitely think there is a lot more support growing around Donald Trump, and I think it is very possible he could win in a landslide this year. So we're going to be breaking down state by state, going over especially our swing states and seeing which states will turn out for each candidate this year and what our official prediction for the upcoming 2024 election will look like. Starting off, we're going to go over Donald Trump's safe states. These are the states that voted for Donald Trump in both of his elections, and I definitely think there's no way any Democrat nominee this year is going to pick off any of these states. I think these are the safe states for Donald Trump. I do think Alaska, Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. I think he's going to win both of the Dakotas, with Nebraska's 1st and 2nd district with the vote at large. I think he's going to win Maine's 2nd district, as long as Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and West Virginia. And as you can see, Donald Trump starts off with a safe 226 electoral votes. Now, if we come over to Kamala Harris's safe state, these are the states that I just see no possible way of Donald Trump picking off this year. I think these states are way too far to the left, and no matter what candidate is, I just think they're going to vote blue no matter what. That is going to be the state of Hawaii, California, Oregon, Washington, even New York. Even though I have seen some latest poll where New York is in play, Kamala is only up by 7 or 8. I still think this state is way out of reach for the Republicans this year, and I think it is going to go towards the Democrat. Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware, Maryland, and the District of Columbia. These are the states that I think are going to go strictly to the blue, and I just see no possible way of Trump picking them off. Now, in my opinion, these are going to be all of your swing states this year. I definitely think we're going to have to watch closely in every single poll in every single one of these states and see up to the upcoming election where these states are going to be in November. Starting off, I am going to give the state of Texas, Florida, Ohio, and Iowa to Donald Trump. He won 4 of these states in 2016 by big margins, and even in 2020 when Biden had his big year and won the presidency, Trump still won these states. So I definitely think with all his growing support, even if you check the polls, you can see in these states Donald Trump is more than 10 points up. So I definitely think these are going to be safe states for Donald Trump in this election. Starting off west with Nevada, we're going to see in this state has gone to Hillary Clinton in 2016 and Joe Biden in 2020. And as you can see at the moment with Joe Biden's unfavorability, even though Kamala is the candidate, we are going to be taking her poll. And as you can see, she is down 10 points against Donald Trump. That shows in the state of Nevada, there has been a big shift to the right. Like I said, Hillary Clinton won it in 2016 and Joe Biden won it in 2020. And now in 2024, we can see against Harris, Trump is up by 10 points, making the state of Nevada a safe Republican state. And if we come down to Arizona with its 11 electoral votes, we can see in the state of Arizona, Donald Trump is up by 5.5 points. In this state, he did win it in 2016, beating Hillary Clinton by a pretty close margin, but Joe Biden won it by just a hair in 2020. And as you can see in the most latest poll by Emerson College, it does show Donald Trump 8 points if you factor in Kennedy. Now, Kennedy is going to be struggling to get on the ballots in some of these states, so I'm not going to factor in Kennedy. This is just strictly going to be between Harris and Trump. And as you can see, Donald Trump's still up 5 points, making the state of Arizona a likely Republican state. Colorado is a very interesting state. It is a swing state, I believe, but it's also one of the only states on this map that is trending more and more to the left every election cycle. And as you can see in the state of Colorado, Joe Biden is currently up at the moment by 10 points. And this was before he dropped out of the race, but I do think Kamala is going to inherit some of the same support Joe Biden did. So, at most, she could only be up by 10, but, at least I think she could be down maybe maybe up by 8 or up by 10. So as you can see, Joe Biden is up by 10 points in this poll. Now, this poll was taken before he dropped out of the race, but I do think Kamala is going to inherit most of the Biden supporters. So, at least I think she's up by 8, making the state of Colorado a likely state for the Democrats. And if you scroll down to New Mexico with its 5 electoral votes, this state is very interesting. It could be the closest swing state this year. This state has gone to the Democrats in the last couple elections. Hillary won it and Joe Biden won it. But as you can see in the latest polling, Donald Trump is starting to make a push in this state. Back in May, Biden was up by 11 points, and all the way now, June 19th through the 24th, Biden is only up by 1 point, showing a huge shift to the right in this state. And I think we still have a little ways to go to November. So I think if this state is already shifting this much to the right, I definitely think Donald Trump will pick this state off. This state has a huge Hispanic population, and with Hispanics starting to shift more to the right, I definitely think Donald Trump will win the state of New Mexico for the first time, giving it a tilt margin for the Republican Party. And if we come up to Minnesota with its 10 electoral votes, this state is very heavy Democrat. It has not voted to the Republicans since 1970s, I'm pretty sure. But as you can see, Donald Trump, I believe, might have a fair chance at picking this state off this election. I think he might be the first Republican since 1970 to pick off this state. As you can see, Joe Biden did have the lead by 2 points back all the way in June. But now, all the way here, he is dead tied with Donald Trump. And as you can see, the polling is still a little bit behind. Joe Biden did drop out and Harris is the new nominee, but I do believe Harris will inherit most of the Biden supporters. But again, with this state shifting, more to the right, Joe Biden didn't win this state by very much in 2020. And as you can see in the most latest poll by Emerson College, it does show Donald Trump by 1. Biden did have the lead, by 6 and 8, but more and more polling is coming out showing Donald Trump up in the state of Minnesota. So I definitely think, just like New Mexico, Donald Trump will be the first Republican to pick off the state of Minnesota since 1970s, making the state a tilt lean for the Republicans. And if we go over to Wisconsin with its 10 electoral votes, Donald Trump did win this state in 2016 and Joe Biden did win it in 2020, but he only won it by, not even a point. I think it was just a hair. And as you can see, Donald Trump and the current polling is up by 2 points in the state. This state has been a very close state, as you can see over time, but Donald Trump is starting to pull off a little lead at the moment. And as you can see in the most latest poll in Emerson College, it does show Harris up by 1. But again, with Harris being the new nominee, I think she is going to get a little boost, but all the way to November, I think it will settle down. And as you can see, Donald Trump has been leading most of the polling since all the way in April, and I do believe he will pick off the state of Wisconsin just like he did in 2016, making the state shift leanly to the Republican Party. We come down to the state of Illinois with its 19 electoral votes. This state is usually like Colorado, not safe, but usually more Democratic. It is starting to lean more to the left, and that is due primarily to the Chicago districts up here. Most of the state is going to be Republican, but again, the Chicago district does make the majority of the state go blue every election. And as you can see in the most latest poll, which are very behind, we don't have much polling coming out of Illinois. We can only kind of predict based off the last couple elections. Hillary Clinton won it in 2016 and Joe Biden won it big time in 2020. And I think Kamala Harris will have a better appeal than Joe Biden did in Illinois. Now, I don't think the state will go safe Democrat, but I think it will go just like Colorado, more of a lean, likely shift towards the Democratic Party in 2024. But as you can see in the latest poll, it does show Trump and Biden getting closer and closer. But now that Joe Biden has dropped out, I think you can see Donald Trump is starting to kind of pull off a little lead. He's already up 2.5 points in this state. And if we go over here to the most recent poll, we can see Harris and Trump are dead tied. And this is primarily because they factored in Kennedy. But again, I'm not going to be taking any Kennedy polls. I'm just going to do primarily between Trump and Harris. And as you can see, if you just do that, Trump is up by 2 points, gaining most of those Kennedy supporters. And I definitely think he will pick off the state of Michigan this year, just like he did in 2016, giving it, just like its neighbor Wisconsin, a lean margin for the Republican Party. And if we come all the way down to Georgia with its 16 electoral votes, this state is very interesting. It was the closest swing state in the 2020 election. Joe Biden did win it just by a hair due to the Atlanta metro area. But I definitely think this state usually is more Republican. They have a Republican governor in Brian Kemp, and I definitely think this state will go more Republican this year due to the Republican support for Donald Trump. I definitely think there will be more bigger turnout for the Republicans in Georgia, and as you can see, Trump is almost up by 6 points in the state. And as you can see in the most latest election between Trump and Harris, it does show Trump up by a little bit right here. I definitely don't think the state will go tilt. I think it will go more of a likely lean for the Republican Party this year. And if we come up to the state of North Carolina, just like its neighbor, it has 16 electoral votes. And I definitely think this state will also go towards Donald Trump. He won it in both elections last time in 2016 and 2020. And as you can see, polling has underestimated Donald Trump in this state. They said Joe Biden was supposed to win it, and Donald Trump won it. And same in 2016, Donald Trump did pick off the state of North Carolina, not by a lot, but by a decent bit. And I definitely think with the polls showing Donald Trump already up by almost 7 points in the state, they could still be underestimating him. We don't know. I personally believe they might. And as you can see with the most latest poll included with Harris, Trump is up by 4 points. And this poll is even sponsored by the Democratic Party, making it an unfortunate turnout for this poll because of the fact it's sponsored by the Democratic Party that Trump is up by 4 points. Now, I don't think this state will be a safe Republican state. I definitely think it will be a likely state, though. And if we come up to the state of Virginia with 13 electoral votes, this state is also going to be one of the closest swing states this year, just like Minnesota and New Mexico. I personally believe that. If we look at the state closer, we can see Hillary Clinton did win it in 2016 and Joe Biden won it in 2020. Not by much. I think it was like 8 points. Or 8 or 10 points, I believe. But as you can see, Donald Trump has completely shifted in this state. The most recent poll between Trump and Harris shows that Trump is up by 4 points. And that was 2 polls too. You know, Trump is up by 1 and Trump is up by 4. And even if you come all the way down here to more Harris polls, you can see Trump is up by 4, 1, Trump up by 2. So I definitely think support for Donald Trump in Virginia is starting to grow. I think they will show out and turn out. And I personally believe Donald Trump will pick off the state of Virginia to a lean tilt, just like Minnesota and New Mexico this year. And if we come up to Pennsylvania with its huge 19 electoral votes, one of the closest, biggest swing states this election, I definitely think whoever wins Pennsylvania, just like I said, Michigan, is in great shape to win the election. As you can see in the latest polling, Donald Trump is up by 4.5 points. And definitely, I personally believe with the assassination attempt happening in Pennsylvania, I think personally there might be a little bit more support for Donald Trump showing out in this state just because it might have happened there. As you can see, he's up by 4.5 points. And the latest poll do show Donald Trump up against Harris by 2 points. You know, right here, he's up against 2. And in this poll against Harris, he is also up by 2. And even if you come all the way down here, with On Point Politics, it shows that Harris is losing to Trump by 4 points in this state. So I definitely think Donald Trump will win this state. I think it will be just like the rest of the Rust Belt, not a safe, but, you know, more of a lean, likely state for the Republican Party. And if we come over to New Jersey, which is a very interesting state, very safe Democrat state for most of the election, but Donald Trump possibly might have swung the state more to the Republican Party. As you can see, it has 14 electoral votes, so it is an important state for the Democrats. But in the most latest poll, you can see Trump is up by 1 point. We definitely need more polling coming out of this state. But again, Biden did drop out, so we need some more polling against Trump and Harris. But Trump is leading in the state by 1 point, and this was right around the time of the debate. So you can see that this state is starting to shift more to the Republican Party. Now, I personally believe based on the last couple elections, I don't think Donald Trump will win the state of New Jersey. I think the Democrats will still win the state, more of a likely lean. But I think the Republican Party is starting to grow in the state of New Jersey, and we have to keep a close eye on this state because it could be a huge swing state this upcoming election. New Hampshire is going to be our last state. And this state usually has a lot of college voters, but I definitely think this state is starting to go, as you can see in the most recent poll, it does show Harris up by 7, and in this poll, it does show Harris up by 6. Now, against Joe Biden, Donald Trump was doing pretty well. He was up by 2 points and even tied, but in the latest upcoming polls, we can see that even though Donald Trump is up by 1 point in this poll, we can see polling University of New Hampshire Harris is winning more of those college voters. Now, I do think Donald Trump will come very, very close to winning the state of New Hampshire. He almost won it by a hair in 2016, but Hillary ended up picking it off, and Joe Biden did pretty good in 2020. So I definitely think this state will go to the Democrats by just a little bit, just like a tilt margin. But again, the Republican Party is starting to grow in the state, just like the state of New Jersey, and we will have to keep a close eye on this state for this upcoming election. And as you can see, this is what all the states will be looking like. We are going to go over these little districts real quick. As you can see in the state of Maine, the second district is up by Trump. He's up by 20 points, I'm pretty sure, but we're going to be going over the first district and the overall general election in the state. If we look at the most recent poll, Trump is up by, or Harris is up by 9 points and even 8 points in these polls, even if you include Kennedy. Now, this state is usually shifting more to the left, so I definitely think the overall election will go to Harris. But if you come over to Maine's first district, which is usually more urban, I definitely think Harris is going to win it. If you can see in the most latest polling, Biden was up 8. We don't have any polling for Harris, but with Biden being up 8, I definitely think she will win that as well. If we come over to Nebraska's second district, again, this district is more heavy college educated and a lot of voters, and definitely with them leaning more to the left. As you can see, it is tied right here in the most recent poll. Donald Trump did win this district in 2016, and Joe Biden won it in 2020. And again, with more college voters starting to swing to the left, I think Harris will make a more of an appeal, and I think she will tilt the state, Nebraska's second district. But again, we'll have to keep an eye on it. It could be very possible for Donald Trump to win that. And as you can see, this is the final result of my official prediction for this upcoming election. I personally believe Donald Trump's support is going to grow even more all the way to November, and I think that will lead him to pick off states like New Mexico, with Minnesota, and Virginia, making them very close, but I think the Republican Party will win, and making states like Illinois, Colorado, New Jersey, and New Hampshire a run for their money for the Democratic Party. But as you can see in my official prediction, Donald Trump has 340 electoral votes, beating Harris with 198, making Donald Trump the winner for the 2024 election.